Story number 1. It all started when I was cleaning out our attic, trying to declutter and stuff. The air was kind of musty, like it hadn't been touched in forever. I'm sorting through old boxes, finding forgotten toys and junk, and that's when I saw it. A dusty old doll sitting there like it was waiting for me. Now, this doll wasn't like those creepy ones you see in horror movies. It was all innocent looking, with button eyes and a faded pink dress. I remembered it from my childhood, but it wasn't mine. No, it belonged to my sister, Lily. Memories flooded back, Lily playing tea parties with that doll, talking to it like it was a real friend. But here's the thing. Lily wasn't exactly okay back then. See, Lily had this imaginary friend, or at least that's what we thought. She called it Mr. Whispers, said he was a ghost only she could see. We figured it was just a phase, kids and their wild imaginations. But the weird part, Lily would have full-on conversations with Mr. Whispers, like he was real. And the doll? Well, that was his sidekick, his little ghostly partner in crime. Fast forward to now, years later. Lily had grown out of her ghost friend phase, or so we thought. She moved away, left all that childhood stuff behind. But finding that doll brought it all rushing back. I could almost hear Lily's giggles and the soft whispers she used to talk to Mr. Whispers. That night, I decided to keep the doll, thinking maybe Lily would want it for old time's sake. Big mistake. As soon as the sun dipped below the horizon, weird stuff started happening. Creaks in the floor, shadows that moved on their own. I chalked it up to an overactive imagination, the kind of thing that happens when you're alone in an old attic. But then I heard it. The soft, distant whispers. Like someone talking in a hush, just out of earshot. I freeze, thinking maybe it's the wind or my mind playing tricks. But the whispers get closer, and I swear, I catch Lily's voice in there. Just like when she used to talk to Mr. Whispers. I'm thinking, this is nuts. But curiosity gets the better of me. I hold the doll, and the whispers get clearer, like a radio tuning into a station. Lily's voice gets louder, and she's saying things I haven't heard in years. Memories long buried come back, her childhood fears, the troubles she faced. The attic feels different now, charged with this weird energy. Shadows dance in the corners, and the air gets heavy. I'm holding that doll, and it's like a connection to something beyond. Suddenly, Lily's voice changes, becomes distorted. She's not talking to me anymore. She's talking to Mr. Whispers. I'm freaked out, but something makes me stay. The doll starts to feel warm, like it's alive. And then, out of nowhere, a soft voice, not Lily's, not mine, whispers through the attic. It's Mr. Whispers, and he's telling me things only Lily and I would know. The temperature drops and the shadows gather, forming this shape in the darkness. I can almost make out a figure, a man, but not quite. Mr. Whispers is real, and he's here in the attic, in the space between memories and the present. The whispers turn into murmurs, and the attic becomes a battleground for forces unseen. I feel a chill, and the doll in my hands jerks, like it's alive. I hear laughter, Lily's laughter, echoing through the air. It's a mix of joy and sorrow, and I'm caught in the middle of this supernatural reunion. The shadows morph into shapes dancing around me. I'm surrounded by memories, by a bond that time couldn't break. Mr. Whispers is a presence, a force that connects us, and I can feel him searching, seeking something lost in the years that passed. Story number 2. So my grandma left me this old house, and I figured I'd check out the attic, filled with dusty furniture, like stepping back in time. Each piece had this story vibe, but not the good kind. More like tales you'd hear around a campfire that make your skin crawl. First, there's this ancient mirror, all ornate and spooky. When I look into it, it's like my reflection is holding secrets. Shadows move where they shouldn't, and my reflection smirks when I'm not. I try to shake it off, but the mirror's got a mind of its own. Then there's this creaky rocking chair. I swear I hear it rocking on its own at night. Creepy, right? Like someone sitting there rocking back and forth, but there's no one. I try to ignore it, but it's always there, creaking away. A dusty old gramophone comes next. Sometimes it plays this haunting melody all by itself. No wind, no nothing. Just this eerie tune that sends shivers down my spine. I can't figure out where it comes from, but it's like the air itself is carrying the melody. Now, here's where it gets really weird. A dusty old painting of a lady with piercing eyes. They follow me no matter where I go. I swear she's judging every move I make. One night, I dreamt she stepped out of the painting, whispering secrets I couldn't understand. Woke up in a cold sweat, and the painting's eyes seemed to smirk. I decide to bring these heirlooms downstairs, thinking maybe they'd behave better in the living room. Bad idea. The air changes, gets heavier. Footsteps echo when no one's around, and doors creak open on their own. I try to shrug it off, but it feels like the house is alive, breathing with this malevolent energy. One evening, I'm in the living room, and I feel this cold breeze. All the windows are closed, but the temperature drops and I see my breath. The gramophone starts playing that haunting melody, and the lady in the painting seems to frown. I'm freaking out, right? Then there's the whispers, like a faint wind carrying secrets. I can't make out the words, but it's like the house is telling me something. Every night, the whispers get louder, and I start losing sleep. It feels like the air is vibrating with these unseen voices. Things escalate. Shadows move on their own. Furniture shifts when I'm not looking. I feel watched, like there are eyes on me even when I'm alone. The atmosphere's charged, and I can sense the spirits tied to these heirlooms. They're restless, and they want something. One night, I decide to confront it. The rocking chair is creaking away, the lady in the painting is glaring, and the gramophone is playing that eerie tune. I stand there, demanding answers. The whispers rise and the air crackles. It's like the spirits are waking up, acknowledging my presence. Suddenly, the lady in the painting steps out, her eyes blazing. The rocking chair goes wild, and the gramophone screeches to life, the haunting melody reaching a fever pitch. I feel this cold breeze again, stronger than before, swirling around me. The spirits surround me, their energy palpable. I can feel their emotions, their stories, their regrets. It's overwhelming, like a flood of memories rushing through me. The lady in the painting reaches out, and I can sense her pain, her longing for something lost. In that moment, I understand. These heirlooms aren't just furniture, they're vessels for the souls tied to them. Each piece carries a piece of their story, a fragment of their existence. Bringing them into my home awakened them, and now they're trying to communicate. I decide to help them find peace. I research the house's history, uncovering old tales of love and tragedy. The lady in the painting was a lost soul, unable to move on. The gramophone played the haunting melody at a long-forgotten wedding. The mirror reflected the memories of those who stood before it. With newfound knowledge, I perform a simple ritual, a way to guide these spirits to the other side. The air shifts, and the atmosphere changes once more, but this time, it's lighter, calmer. The spirits linger for a moment, grateful, before fading away. Story number 3. All right, so here's the deal. I'm this artist, right? Just trying to make a living with my paints and brushes. Thought setting up a studio in the attic would be perfect, quiet, away from distractions. Just me, the canvas, and my thoughts. I get everything ready, facing my easel toward this big old window. It's perfect during the day, lets in the natural light. I start working on this self-portrait, thinking I could capture something real about myself. But then things start getting weird. I look up from my canvas, catch my reflection in the window, and it ain't right. All distorted, like one of those funky mirrors from a carnival. My eyes are hollow, my smile's twisted. I shake my head, thinking it's just my mind messing with me. Too many late nights and too much caffeine, probably. Back to my painting, I go. But the reflection, it keeps nagging at me. Every time I look up, it's there, all warped and unsettling. But I tell myself it's just my imagination. Stress does weird things to your mind, right? Then, it escalates. The distorted reflection isn't the only thing happening in that window. One day I look up, and there's this figure, a shadowy silhouette standing behind me. I freeze, brushes in hand, heart pounding. It's not my reflection. It's something else, something dark and twisted. I try to scream, but no sound comes out. I turn around, expecting to see the figure in the room with me, but there's nothing, just the empty attic. I look back at the window, and there it is, that figure, grinning at me. Its eyes, pure black, like staring into an abyss. I think it's got to be my imagination, you know? Stress and lack of sleep messing with my head. But when I open my eyes again, it's still there. The figure, staring, grinning. I grab my paints, thinking maybe I can cover up the window, make it go away. As I approach, the figure starts to move. Slow, deliberate steps. I freeze again, watching it come closer. Now it's not just in the window, it's in the room. The air gets colder and I can feel this oppressive energy. I dip my brush in paint, trying to steady my shaking hand. But when I turn back to the canvas, my self-portrait is different. It's not me anymore. It's the figure, the twisted, horrifying version in the window. I didn't paint it, but there it is, staring back at me. Panic sets in. I start covering the canvas, trying to erase that thing, but it won't go away. I turn to face the figure, and it's right there, inches from me. Cold breath on my neck. I stumble back, knocking over paints and brushes. It's like the attic's closing in, suffocating me. The figure starts to speak, a low, guttural whisper. Can't make out the words, but it's like nails on a chalkboard. I'm cornered, nowhere to run. It's like the attic's become its own nightmare. Suddenly the lights flicker, and the figure vanishes. I'm left alone in the dark, heart pounding, covered in paint. I grab my stuff and bolt out of the attic, slamming the door shut. Downstairs I try to make sense of it. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's my mind playing tricks. But then I notice something. The painting I tried to cover up in the attic, it's hanging in the living room now, like it moved by itself. I'm terrified, but I can't leave it there. I grab the painting, take it back to the attic, and lock the door. But it doesn't stop. The figure keeps appearing in my paintings, each one more twisted than the last. I'm losing sleep, scared to go back to the attic. But I can feel it calling me, like this dark force pulling me back. I try to resist, but it's like the attic has a hold on me. One night I can't take it anymore. I go back to the attic, and there it is, the figure, waiting for me. The whispers get louder, and I can finally make out the words. It's telling me things, secrets, things I don't want to know. I try to paint over the figure, erase it from the canvas, but it won't let me. The figure steps out of the painting, looming over me. It's real, tangible, and I can feel its icy touch. It speaks again, telling me my darkest fears, my deepest regrets. It knows everything. I'm paralyzed, trapped in this nightmare I can't escape. The attic feels like it's closing in, the walls pulsating with the figure's malevolent energy. I'm begging it to stop, to let me go. But it just keeps whispering, and the attic becomes a vortex of darkness. I'm consumed by it, and the figure merges with my own twisted reflection. The last thing I hear is its laughter, echoing through the attic. And then, silence. The attic door swings open, revealing an empty room. The figure is gone, but it's left its mark. I'm not the same anymore.